King of the Ring, running for the quickest street car at 6 minutes 44 seconds around the Nürburgring. 770 horsepower from its naturally aspirated V12 versus naturally aspirated V10, making 610 horsepower. SVJ, if you don't know what it stands for, means Super Veloce Jota. Super Veloce means super fast, and Jota comes from one of the old special edition Mura Lamborghinis back in the days. So on paper, you might think this is a no contest. 770 horsepower in the SVJ versus the 610 horsepower in here. Both weigh about the same. You would think the SVJ is just going to murder the Huracan. Unfortunately, that's not the case. And the big difference here is this transmission. So dual clutch transmission in the Huracan 7-speed versus the single clutch transmission in the Aventador, the ISR transmission. It does shift super fast and it is very raw and very abrupt. This car hits hard when it hits those gears. But unfortunately, even though it shifts very fast, it just can't compete with the Huracan. And I'm going to show you why. I took graphs from the V-Box of both the Huracan and the SVJ during the races. And before I go on to the races, I'm going to show you some points which actually show the advantages of the dual clutch over the single clutch transmission. So let's break out the graphs, go over the data, and then we'll get into the races. Alright, so here we go. I brought up the graphs. We got the Huracan on the left here and the SVJ on the right. These are the V-Box graphs for the quarter mile, which has all the data. Now this red line you'll see across here is the mile an hour over time. The green line are the G-forces. So you can see here we got mile an hour over time, G-forces. What you can really see is how hard the SVJ launches. Right here it peaks at 1.5 Gs on the launch. And that's why this car popped a wheelie. I mean, it comes off super hard, but almost too hard. You can see over here, the Huracan comes off a lot softer on the launch, and that's actually better in this case because it's just a smoother launch and doesn't dip after the launch. You can see up in here, up and down, up and down, up and down when the car's struggling, versus the Huracan doesn't have that. Now, if you want to look at the shift differences, let's take a look at this red line right here. You can barely see where the Huracan shifts, whereas on the SVJ you see these flat lines. So that's a shift, this is a shift, this is a shift, and this is a shift. And that's also backed up by the G-force data. When this car shifts, you see a huge drop in the G-forces right here. Here, 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 and here. And in the Huracan, you don't see that. You just see, and you actually see when this shifts, you see an increase in the G-forces. It's almost pulling harder and then drops off a little bit. So you can see these little bumps in the shifts versus dips in the shifts for the SVJ. That really kills it, especially when you're going through a few gears in the quarter mile. As you'll see here, the trap speed, if you can see this here, was 131 miles around the Huracan at the end of the quarter mile versus the SVJ was actually going 3 miles an hour faster at 134 miles an hour. This is actually backed up into 60 to 130 data as well. You can tell on the top end, the SVJ is definitely pulling hard, and as you can see in the video of the races you're about to see, you'll see the Huracan gets out and the SVJ chases it down but can't quite catch it by the end of the quarter mile. Now if these cars kept going towards the top end, maybe half mile or mile, the SVJ is definitely going to pull away because it's not shifting as much and it's under the power more. So in summary, yes, the SVJ shifts very hard, as you can see. You actually could feel this in the car versus the Huracan. Huracan's much smoother, but in this case, smoother is actually better. So you can actually see right here a much smoother acceleration curve in the Huracan versus the SVJ. So let's jump into the races and you can see what happens. 10.5 to 10.6, both at 130 miles an hour.